Well, hey everybody. Today we're going to talk about the changing landscape of B2B marketing and the impact these new dynamics have on the traditional method of creating a value proposition. Let's assume you have a new product or a new set of features to communicate to the market. So you sit down to draft your value proposition by dusting off Geoffrey Moore's tried and true method. In 1991, Geoffrey Moore published the great book, Crossing the Chasm, which is now on its third edition. In the first edition, he suggested a value proposition method that looked something like this. The premise behind this template was to help companies write a concise statement that described who the product or service was intended for, why it was created, or the statement of need, where it fits in the market, positioning, and why it's of value, the statement of benefit. As B2B marketers, we're often more comfortable diving into the features and functions of our product and their respective benefits. And if we're lucky, we might get a case study or a way to demonstrate how the feature could be applied. And we would do this over and over and over again for every new feature. We would repeat the same product-centric message, irrespective of the market segment and the company type we're targeting. And we would consistently promote the message to all of the buying influencers involved in the sales process, without really considering what phase of the cycle they might be in. Lastly, we would broadcast our fabulous features across all the available channels in our arsenal. It's the classic one-size-fits-all approach that is typically the easiest to produce and replicate, even for your competition. But you're a savvy marketer, and you keep hearing that marketing in the digital age is different. You've heard about content marketing, inbound marketing, programmatic marketing, product marketing, omni-channel marketing, and customer-centric marketing, just to name a few. You realize your current method does a really good job at product marketing, and you offer a very consistent customer experience across all channels. But what about these other areas of marketing? You also know from working with your sales and product management team that your messaging is really only designed to target the user buying persona. And most of the content doesn't help to address challenges or overcome objections from the other stakeholders. So essentially, the problem with the old method is that it's too generic, it's product-centric, and it doesn't support the new topic cluster SEO model. But I know what you're thinking. This is the way we've always done it, and we get decent results, so why change now? Well, let's answer that question by first dissecting topic cluster search engine optimization. Search engine algorithms change on a regular basis to deliver a better experience for end users. Since more people are conducting searches using audio commands or simply asking questions rather than using keyword searches, the algorithms are now designed to take into consideration searcher intent. Let me give you an example. Remember our economic buyer from before? Well, let's say he's interested in learning more about how to effectively track marketing spend so he can demonstrate the value of his team's effort to top executives. He currently isn't aware that there are products created just for this purpose, and so he begins with a broad research on the topic. Notice that he's asking questions of the search engine and is searching for very specific answers. Your site is ranked high on the list, and so he visits and sees mostly product-related content. Doesn't seem to have what he's looking for, and so he leaves your site or he bounces quickly. Because your value props are product-centric, they simply don't resonate, and this sets off a chain reaction. The visitor leaves your site because he doesn't see relevant content on the topic, which in turn signals to the search engine algorithm that the site doesn't offer the right information on the subject, and so it decreases your ranking over time. It also stores this behavior pattern and calibrates the search results to meet the needs of the user while simultaneously noting the quick bounce rate for future user searches on the same subject. This means your site will rank lower when other prospects are looking for similar information. Lastly, your potential customer has just left your site without drawing the connection between your product and the topic he was trying to learn more about. Aside from a lower ranking on search results, there is a bigger problem. Over time, your company will suffer from lower conversions. This graphic captures it nicely. If you're not gaining prospects at the top of the funnel when they're in discovery mode, but are not necessarily interested in purchasing at that particular moment, your ability to convert them into buyers later diminishes greatly. If only 1 to 5% of your total site traffic is likely to purchase, you're going to need to attract a lot of visitors. Let's look at some B2B stats on this subject. Are you aware that 57% of the buying process is completed without a company representative? And that customers with a higher engagement score achieve 50% more revenue and 34% higher profitability? Or the fact that 40% of B2B individual stakeholders said they are more willing to buy from a supplier that has content tailored to their specific needs. So let's go back to the value proposition you need to create for the product launch and recalibrate the whole process so it keeps your brand relevant and differentiated in the eyes of the customer. At bare minimum, we would recommend you modify more as a template to create one value proposition statement for each company type per segment that your product intends to serve. The items in red represent the augmentation to Moore's method and are added to help companies become more customer-centric. You'll notice that we've added a section for you to include the characteristics of the company that represent an ideal client. This is how you keep your sales and marketing effort focused on the right kinds of opportunities versus chasing anything with a pulse. We've also added a space for relevant topics or areas of interest that those organizations might be researching, where your product or service could be of assistance. Before you get started, we would highly recommend you segment and prioritize your market if you haven't already done so. The key to content marketing is to demonstrate expertise in depth and breadth on a subject, which means you'll need to dedicate more time and resources to only a handful of market needs at any given time. Focus at this stage is paramount, and you'll have to resist the urge to be all things to everyone. So let's look at this in practice. Say I've segmented my market for marketing performance management software, and we believe we have two primary segments that have uniquely different requirements and buying behaviors, the US market and the European market. My marketing effort would need to take these distinctions into consideration, particularly my content. If I further analyze each segment, I may decide that my largest growth opportunity is with organizations similar to Segment 1, Company Type B. These represent subsegment Priority 1 for long-term revenue, and they have the following 5 characteristics. So I might label this group of companies transformative. In terms of my content strategy, what I believe will be of greatest interest to this segment is content supporting their desire to transform marketing into a profit center. So some of the subtopics related to the main pillar might include metrics and stats, marketing ROI, dashboards for dummies, and so forth. And all of this together would represent a topic cluster. So my value proposition for this subsegment might look something like this. For the transformative marketing organization that exhibits these characteristics, who needs to change the internal perception of marketing and is interested in marketing as a profit center, our Market Track is a cloud-enabled marketing performance management software that supports ROI tracking and visibility of marketing spend so CMOs can demonstrate value. Remember the stat we mentioned earlier that 40% of individual stakeholders in a B2B purchase are more willing to buy from a supplier that has content tailored to their specific needs? Well, if you truly want to be differentiated, you'll need to further tailor your value propositions accordingly. Becoming customer-centric means you'll want to understand the objections, pain points, and requirements of the various stakeholders participating in the B2B buying cycle, so you can create meaningful content to address their concerns. The more granular your value propositions focus, the better prepared your sales organization will be when they encounter the different buying personas in a complex B2B sale. Therefore, we recommend you spend some time further modifying the value prop to include your target persona and the very specific pain points related to their role. You can also adjust the topics of interest according to how they might conduct research. For example, A CFO might be interested in how well an MPM platform integrates with their current accounting system. Today, we've covered 3 different types of value propositions. The first being the traditional method introduced by Jeffrey Moore that appeals to a very broad and generic target audience. Then we revealed a modified version of Moore's method created by 2525 Marketing to help B2B organizations generate a more focused, segment-based value proposition. Lastly, we further augmented the 2525 method to create a buying persona-based value proposition that was focused on delivering a customer-centric solution to a very particular pain point. At the end of the day, the new reality for B2B marketers is that clients are expecting a customer journey that resembles their personal shopping experience. The content and the product need to be relevant to their specific needs. It needs to appear at the top of the list to gain their attention. Their experience with the brand has to be consistent across all channels. And they want instant gratification. This means they want you to be accessible when they are ready, but not before. By recalibrating your value propositions, you'll help your organization deliver greater value to your clients, which in turn drives more traffic to your brand, creates higher engagement scores that lead to better conversions, and ultimately improves revenue and profitability. This is the true meaning of a valuable value proposition. We have covered a lot of material in a very short time today. If you'd like to download our free 8-step guide and template for creating valuable value props, click on the chalkboard now. We'd also like to acknowledge the following resources where many of the statistics and diagrams in today's presentation originated. And lastly, you can learn more by visiting our website at 2525marketing.com or follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube.